Okay, so before we get started, I think there's a few things that I need to clear up. This is for the Republican primaries, so I'm going to make my judgments and my observations based off of the ideas of Republicanism and also conservatism, just because this is the Republican primary and both candidates claim to be conservative, and I would say the majority of Republicans are conservative. So that is just what I am basing my thoughts and judgments off of. If you don't agree with them, that's okay. I'm just going to make this a lot easier and base it off of these ideas. So the first one is Republicanism. The key ideas, I'm not going to get too deep in it. I'm just going to go over the few key ideas of Republicanism. And the first one is that freedom or liberty is non-domination or freedom from arbitrary interference. Number two is the idea of checks and balances and this separation of powers. Number three is the will of the people. And number four is civic participation, and they all play in together. The next thing I'm going to talk about is conservatism, and I'm just going to go over a statement that was released in 1960 by a group of conservatives and has been widely adopted by the majority of conservatives on what the principles of being a conservative means. So we're just going to go over those real quick. And number one is that individuals have a God-given free will, and because of that, they have the right to be free from the restrictions of arbitrary force. Number two, that liberty is indivisible and political freedom cannot long exist without economic freedom. Number three is the purpose of government is to protect these freedoms through the preservation of internal order, the provision of national defense, and the administration of justice. Number four is when government ventures beyond these functions, it accumulates power, which tends to diminish order and liberty. Number five, that the Constitution of the United States of America is the best arrangement yet devised for empowering government to fulfill its proper role, while also restraining it from concentrating and abusing power. Number six, the genius of the Constitution, the division of powers, is summed up in the clause that reserves supremacy to the states or the people in those spheres not specifically delegated to the federal government. I'd add state government as well in there. Number seven, that the market economy, allocating resources by the free of supply and demand, is the single economic system compatible with the requirements of personal freedom and constitutional government, and that it is at the same time the most productive supplier of human needs. Number eight, when government interferes with the work of the market economy, it tends to reduce the moral and physical strength of the nation/state, that when it takes from one man to bestow on another, it diminishes the incentive of the first, the integrity of the second, and the moral autonomy of both. Number nine, that the forces of communism are at present, and I'm just going to add in, this was written in 1960, so I'm going to replace communism with wokeism. I think that's a good replacement for it right now. But that the forces of wokeism are at present the greatest single threat to these liberties. And number 10, that American foreign policy must be judged by this criterion. Does it serve the just interests of the United States? So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of what I mean when I say conservative and Republican. This is what I'm referring to. So having said that, let's go ahead and get started with the issues that we are going to be talking about. The first one is abortion. That one's an easy one. They are both pro-life unapologetically, which is a good thing. So good job to both of them.